So in this video we're going to look at how to utilise footwork. Now of course we've looked at how footwork is fundamental to what we're doing. At the same time, how do you achieve this fundamental balance, this fundamental poise and this fundamental positioning? So we obviously have the stance. We can look at that technically. We've got the guard, we've got the chin down, we've got the knees slightly bent, we've got the lead foot moving, the back foot moving first. We have these basic considerations. So one way of looking at this is that the foot closest to the direction of movement is the first to move. So this is a fundamental point, but it's necessary but not sufficient to explain footwork. Now we can look at all different kinds of footwork. Do we have a wide base? Do we have a square base? Do we have a 45 base? This will all depend on what particular system you're studying, what particular system you're trained in, and all these considerations which are specific to certain styles. So we're not going to look at that here. To be honest with you, I don't really know all the different key points. There are much better people equipped to know more than me about technical matters. So that's not to say anything negative, that's just the way it is. I'm not a technically minded, organised person, so everything I've done is improvised and based on other factors which have influenced my experience. So one way of looking at the footwork is that it is like a dance. Now obviously this won't sit well with many people because the immediate response will be people will get all sorts of ideas into their head, wrong ideas about how dance isn't serious. You've got to be serious when you're fighting. Well, actually a dance is one of the most serious matters in nature. If you can't dance in nature, if you can't display your colours, if you can't display yourself, if you can't move in an eye-catching manner which bamboozles the other, then you don't get far in nature. So it's been trivialised into stupid kind of TikTok dances and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a fundamental looseness from a stable core, if you like. So the core is always ready. The body itself is loose and fluid. You can't necessarily predict in advance or even plan what might happen, particularly when another person is involved. So it's about becoming not only the dance, but the opponent as well as the dancer. So when we talk of dance, once again, this is a fundamentally serious matter, but you can't take yourself loosely until you realise the seriousness of what it is. So for example, you can't get serious until you've lived the dance, but at the same time you can't dance unless you're serious about it. So we don't get serious first and then move in a flamboyant way which is only superficial. So the idea is that it's a deep truth of yin and yang, or internal and external. So we keep a tight balance, or an internal strength which is keeping us poised and maximally attentive. If you're just thinking, oh, I must be always with my hands up, not only does this discount the possibility of a knife attack coming to the vital organs. We won't get into the strengths, pros and cons, but if you always think in terms of one dimension, one correct way, this is a way to focus the mind, but it's not the way to actually operate in an intense and maximally optimal way. So when we're doing the footwork, there's a looseness of the body so that we can quickly move in, we can quickly move to the side, we can quickly change where we are in space, and then when the moment's right, we can do whatever we need to do. So we switch from this dance, but never with the attention off, never, so we're on all the time. It's not that we're dancing around and then all of a sudden we need to get serious. No, it's a fluid thing where we're completely serious, but also apparently very playful. So again, dancing requires a playfulness, but it's really the most seriously developmental tool in the upcoming organism, animal, humans, behavioural repertoire. So the idea is to play, but it's a serious play, so that we can move from looseness, fluidity, to be able to evade, to be able to elusively move. And then when the moment's right, we can just fire the bow and then go back to being flexible. So the idea is to be taut but not rigid, flexible but not immovable, tense but not immovable. So tension and laxity are two systems. The tension builds up from the core, and by the time it makes its way out to the muscle fibers, there's a chemical and neurological reaction which transforms this energy into an external substance or energy conversion, which allows us to move from relaxation to tension, physical tension at the drop of a hat, rather than being from a state of tension already and then trying to fire out a punch or a kick. It's not from a position of flexibility. So when we say flexibility, there's a core tension, yes, which we've looked at, but at the same time there's a looseness until the final moment of release.